Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why you're stuck in the same place year after year, doing the same things, earning the same income, living the same life? Well, deep down, you know you were created for so much more. Here's the hard truth. It's not because you're not capable. It's not because you don't have enough time or resources. It's because you've made peace with your comfort zone, and that zone, that false sense of safety, is killing your God-given potential every single day. Let's talk about one of the most dangerous illusions people fall into. The illusion that comfort equals success, that safety equals progress, that if life feels easy, then you must be doing something right. But the truth is the exact opposite. Comfort doesn't lead you forward. It quietly holds you back. Comfort creates a false sense of accomplishment. It's the smooth-talking liar in your head that says, relax, you've done enough, when you haven't even scratched the surface of your real potential. Comfort says, stay here. You've got food. You've got a roof. You're doing okay. And that's exactly what makes it dangerous. Because while comfort might protect you from failure, it also protects you from greatness. It keeps you out of pain, yes, but it also keeps you out of purpose. It removes the urgency to grow, the hunger to stretch, and the necessity to level up. Before you know it, you're stuck, not because you're not talented, not because you don't have what it takes, but because you've stopped moving. You've traded progress for peace. And the worst part, you didn't realize it. Growth doesn't happen in ease. Progress is never found in the place of routine and repetition. It's not born in the comfort of predictable days and familiar paths. No. Progress is forged. It's hammered out under pressure, in moments when you don't feel ready, in environments that demand more than you've ever given. That's where the real version of you shows up, not the one that shows up when everything is calm and easy. The version of you that emerges when the situation is tough, the odds are stacked, and failure is a real possibility. That's your authentic self. That's the self with untapped potential and unshakable power. Now let's be clear. I'm not talking about burnout. I'm not saying hustle yourself into the ground. I'm talking about conscious, intentional discomfort. Pushing yourself into places where you know you don't have all the answers, where the outcome isn't guaranteed, and where you're forced to grow. That's the territory of transformation. That's where mastery begins. Let me give you a quick example. There was a man who had worked the same job for over 15 years. Every morning, he followed the same routine. Same route to work, same coffee, same desk, same responsibilities. He was comfortable, stable, reliable. Everyone around him thought he had it made, but inside, he was restless. He knew deep down that there was more in him. He had an idea for a business, something he was passionate about. He thought about it for years, but every time he got close to acting on it, comfort would whisper, what if it doesn't work? What if you lose your stability? What if you fail? And so, year after year, he stayed where it was familiar. One day, his company downsized. He was let go. The very thing he had clung to for security was gone. And now he was forced into discomfort, not by choice, but by circumstance. With nowhere else to turn, he finally decided to launch the business he had dreamed of. The beginning was hard. It was risky. It was uncomfortable. But guess what? In 2 years, his business not only replaced his old salary, it tripled it. More importantly, he said, for the first time in my life, I feel alive. That man had the potential all along, but as long as he chose comfort, it stayed locked away. That story is more common than you think. So many people are sitting on multi-million-dollar ideas, They're carrying solutions to problems in the world. They have leadership capacity, creative brilliance, and spiritual power that could impact thousands, but is buried under the weight of comfort. Because comfort never demands your best. It only asks for your average. It lets you coast, and coasting always leads downhill. You don't need more comfort in your life. You don't need to find the path of least resistance. You need a challenge. You need a goal that scares you, a vision that stretches you, an environment that calls out the giant inside of you. Because challenge does what comfort never will. It reveals your capacity. It shows you what you're really made of. It exposes weaknesses so you can fix them. It builds strength where you were once soft. It makes you more, not just feel more. People say, I just want to feel better. No, you don't need to just feel better. You need to be better. Feeling better is temporary. Being better is transformational. And the only path to being better is going through discomfort. Not once, not twice, but over and over again, until discomfort becomes your new normal and progress becomes your new comfort. When you embrace challenge, when you walk headfirst into the things that make you nervous, anxious, or unsure, you start to grow at a rate you never imagined. Your mindset changes, your language changes, your habits change, your circle changes, because you're no longer being driven by survival, you're being pulled by destiny. So the next time you feel the pull of your comfort zone, when the voice in your head says, stay where it's safe, remember this, that voice doesn't want you to succeed, it wants you to settle. And settling is the silent killer of dreams. Don't negotiate with comfort. Don't ask permission from fear. Get up, move forward, and chase the thing that forces you to become more than you were yesterday. Because you weren't born to be comfortable. You were born to grow. And growth only lives outside the comfort zone. Potential is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world today. People wear it like a badge. They say things like, I've got so much potential, or people tell me I could be great, as if simply having potential is a guarantee of success. But here's the truth. Potential is not automatic. Potential is not power. Potential is just possibility. And possibility means nothing without action. You can have the potential to change the world, but if you never activate it, it stays locked inside of you, untouched and unused. Potential doesn't manifest just because you have it. It manifests when you do something with it. It activates when you decide to step beyond what's familiar and comfortable. That's the real key. See, your potential is like a seed. That seed already has everything inside it to become a tree. It doesn't need more ingredients. It doesn't need outside additions. The DNA is already coded into the seed. But here's the problem. That seed won't grow just because you put it in your pocket. It won't sprout just because you place it on the shelf and admire it. It must be planted. It must be buried in the dirt, pushed into a dark, unfamiliar place, and then it has to be broken open. Pressure has to come. Water, heat, time, all these forces begin to pull life out of the seed. And only then does the seed begin to grow. That's what activating potential looks like. And the same thing is true for you. You were born with gifts. You've got insight, ideas, dreams, talents, and a destiny that's already encoded inside of you. You don't need to go searching for more. You need to start doing something with what you've already got. And that only happens when you're willing to step into environments and experiences that stretch you, challenge you, and make you uncomfortable, That's why so many people never unlock what's inside them, because they want the reward without the risk. They want the blessing without the breaking. They want to be used at a high level, but never want to be tested at a high level. But here's the truth. You can't access the treasure inside of you without pressure. You can't get to the oil without crushing the olive. You can't reach the wine without pressing the grapes. Pressure, challenge, discomfort. They don't come to destroy you. They come to reveal you. Let me give you a short but powerful example. There was a young woman who had a natural gift for leadership. People gravitated to her. She had a way of inspiring others, making them feel seen, heard, and empowered. Her teachers noticed it. Her mentors saw it. Even her friends knew she had something special. Everyone told her, you're meant to do something big. You've got real potential. And she agreed. But for years, that's all it ever was. But she stayed in small roles, avoided responsibility, and rejected opportunities to lead on bigger stages. Why? Because those opportunities made her uncomfortable. They required risk. They demanded more time, more accountability, more exposure. So she stayed in her zone where she was liked, where she was safe, where she didn't have to stretch. Then one day, her boss gave her a tough choice. Take on a major leadership project, one that would involve managing a team, facing criticism and owning the outcome, or stay in her current role and watch someone else step into it. That moment forced her to make a decision. She chose to step up. It wasn't easy. She stumbled. She made mistakes. But with every uncomfortable meeting, with every hard conversation, with every challenge that came her way, something started to happen. Her leadership grew. Her voice became stronger. Her confidence became real. And most of all, the leader everyone else saw finally became the leader she was. Her potential didn't grow in the background, it grew in the battlefield. And the same is true for you. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission. Stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. Stop saying, one day I'll be ready. You don't activate potential by waiting. You activate it by moving. You got to put a demand on what's inside of you. You've got to walk into rooms you feel unqualified for. You've got to raise your hand when it scares you. You've got to say yes to things that make your knees shake, because that's where the real growth happens. That's where your potential stops being theory and starts becoming power. Think about every great person you admire in business, in leadership, in faith, in creativity. None of them became great by accident. They didn't sit around admiring their talent. They put their gift in motion. They didn't hide their seed. They planted it. They let life stretch them. They let trials teach them. And as a result, they produced something with their lives. You are no different. You are not excluded from greatness, but you are responsible for unlocking it. It's not going to happen just because you believe in yourself. It's going to happen when you're willing to walk through fire for the purpose you've been called to fulfill. The difference between people who live at the level of their calling and those who don't is not talent, it's activation. It's who was willing to move before they were ready. So today, stop saying you have potential. Start proving it. Take the leap. Apply for the opportunity. Launch the idea. Have the conversation. Get in the room. Your potential is powerful, but only if you're willing to activate it through action. That's how you unlock the greatness that's been inside you all along. Fear is one of the most deceptive and destructive forces in your life, not because it screams loudly, but because it whispers quietly. It doesn't always show up wearing a mask of terror. Often it shows up sounding wise. sounding reasonable, sounding like it's just looking out for you. It says things like, be careful, or don't get your hopes up, or you don't want to embarrass yourself. And while it may feel like fear is trying to protect you, what it's really doing is paralyzing you. It's holding you hostage inside the walls of your comfort zone while convincing you that you're safe. But let's call it what it really is, a lie. Because fear never shows you the full picture. It magnifies risk while hiding the reward. It shows you the potential for failure while blinding you to the possibility of success. It plays out worst case scenarios over and over again in your mind until you're too exhausted to act. And the result? You stay still, you stay silent, you stay small, not because you don't have the talent, not because you lack the calling, but because you believed the lie that fear was your friend. The truth is, fear pretends to be your protector, but it's really your prison guard. It doesn't keep you safe, it keeps you stuck. It builds walls around your potential and calls them boundaries. It limits your actions, your decisions, your voice, and your dreams, and then justifies it all in the name of caution. And here's what you need to understand. You were never created to live a cautious life. You were created to live a bold life, a life of faith, a life that pulls something out of you that only pressure and risk can reveal. Every breakthrough you're waiting for is on the other side of fear. That opportunity you've been praying about, that next level you've been dreaming about, that vision you keep seeing in your spirit, it's not being blocked by lack of talent or lack of time or lack of support. It's being blocked by one thing, the fear you haven't confronted. And until you face it, you'll never conquer it. You cannot conquer what you're not willing to confront. You have to name it, face it, walk right into the middle of it with courage, even if your knees are shaking. Let me give you a powerful example of how this works in real life. There was a man who had a gift for speaking. He could move a room with his words. He could inspire, teach, and lead like few others. His friends would always tell him, you should be on stage, you should be helping people, you've got something in you the world needs to hear. And deep down, he knew they were right. He wanted to do it. He dreamed of it, but every time the opportunity came, fear would rise up. Fear would whisper, you're not good enough. What if people laugh at you? What if you forget your words? What if nobody listens? So for years, he stayed in the background. He let fear talk him out of his purpose. He avoided speaking gigs. He turned down interviews. He sat in the audience watching other people walk in the calling that was meant for him. And all the while, the dream inside of him was dying, slowly, silently, suffocated by fear. Then one day he got an invitation to speak at a small community event. It wasn't a huge stage. It wasn't a paid gig, but something inside him shifted. He was tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of wondering what his life would look like if he just had the courage to try. So he said yes. He walked on that stage with his heart pounding and his voice trembling. And as he began to speak, something powerful happened. He came alive. The room leaned in. People were moved. He finished his talk and was met with a standing ovation. That one moment, facing fear instead of fleeing it, changed the trajectory of his entire life. He now travels the world speaking to thousands, not because he never felt fear, but because he finally chose faith over fear. That's what courage really is. It's not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward in spite of it. And that's the decision you must make. Don't wait for fear to go away before you act. It won't. Fear doesn't leave on its own. Fear leaves when you confront it. But when you look it in the eye and say, I'm not bowing to you today. I've got too much purpose to play small. I've got too much calling to sit this one out. I'm stepping forward, not because I'm not afraid, but because I've got something bigger than fear guiding me. Fear says, what if it doesn't work? Faith says, but what if it does? Fear says, what if I fail? Faith says, what if I fly? Fear says, you're not ready. Faith says, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. So which voice are you going to listen to? You can either spend your life being controlled by fear, or you can spend your life fulfilling your calling, but you can't do both. One will have to die for the other to live. The version of you that fear approves of is small, silent, and safe. But the version of you that's called to make impact, that version is bold, fearless, and powerful. And the only way you'll ever meet that version of you is if you stop letting fear drive your decisions. Fear will always knock. That's guaranteed. But it doesn't have to get a seat at your table. It doesn't have to control the conversation. You get to choose. And when you finally choose faith over fear, action over anxiety, boldness over hesitation, that's when the shift happens. That's when momentum builds. That's when you start to see the life you were meant to live unfold in front of you. So don't wait. Don't hide. Don't overthink. Fear is not your protector. It is your prison. And it's time to break free. There's a moment in every person's life where they sit still long enough to reflect. Maybe it comes during a quiet night. Maybe it hits after a milestone birthday. Maybe it shows up when life forces them to pause. But when that moment comes, the question that echoes the loudest is this: did I live fully? Not just exist, not just survive, not just check off the boxes society handed me, but did I really show up for my own life? Did I chase the dream? Did I take the risk? Did I give my gift to the world, or did I keep it locked away because comfort felt easier than courage? That's where regret is born. It's not born from failure, it's born from inaction. From the moments you stayed quiet when you should have spoken up. From the chances you didn't take because fear felt more familiar than faith. From the years you spent waiting for the right time, only to realize time never asks for your permission to pass. Regret isn't loud. It doesn't scream at you. It whispers. It creeps in during the stillness and reminds you of the versions of yourself you never became, not because you couldn't, but because you wouldn't. We live in a culture that worships comfort. Stay safe, play it smart, don't rock the boat, make sure you're secure. But what that advice doesn't tell you is this: comfort has a cost. It doesn't take payment up front. It doesn't send you a bill the next day. But one day down the road, comfort comes to collect. And the currency it demands? Regret, wasted time, unused potential, unspoken words, unlived purpose. And the price? It's not just emotional, it's spiritual. Because deep down, you know you were made for more. You know there's a calling on your life that comfort can never carry. That's why you feel the inner conflict. That's why even when everything looks fine on the outside, you can feel frustration building on the inside. That's why you're restless in routines that used to satisfy you, because something in your soul knows if you stay here, you'll miss what you were born for. But here's the reality: regret never announces itself early. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder when you're choosing comfort over courage. It doesn't yell when you say maybe later for the 5th year in a row. It's silent until one day it's not. Until one day you look back and realize the door has closed, the opportunity has passed, the moment you prayed for has been handed to someone else. Someone who was willing to walk through discomfort to receive it. and then it hits. Not all at once, but in waves. That sting of what if? What if I would have started when I first felt the nudge? What if I hadn't let fear talk me out of that opportunity? What if I believed in myself the way I believed in everyone else? That pain doesn't go away quickly. It lingers. It builds. It becomes the background noise of your days. Because you're not haunted by what you failed at. You're haunted by what you never tried. Let me show you just how real this is with a simple story. There was a woman in her late 60s. Her name was Gloria. She had spent her life being the responsible one. She raised a family, supported her husband's dreams, worked a steady job, and made sure everything around her ran smoothly. But there was something most people didn't know. Gloria had a dream of becoming a writer. Since her 20s, she had journals filled with stories, poems, and reflections. She'd often say, one day I'll write a book. But one day turned into 1 decade, and then 2, and then 4. Life was always too busy, too uncertain, too demanding. By the time she retired, the spark had dimmed. The dream was still there, but now it was buried under layers of doubt. I'm too old now. No one wants to read my words. I miss my window. One day, she shared her regret with her granddaughter, and when her granddaughter asked her why she never went for it, Gloria looked down, eyes full of tears, and said, I thought I had more time. That's the line that hits hardest. I thought I had more time. More time to start, more time to believe, more time to become. But time doesn't wait for anyone. It keeps moving. And while you're sitting still, time is shifting the landscape around you. Opportunities expire, seasons change, and if you're not careful, you'll miss the open door while waiting for the perfect one. This is why the pain of discipline is always worth it, because discipline hurts now, but it heals later. You might have to wake up early. You might have to say no to distractions. You might have to face rejection. But every moment of discomfort you choose today is an investment in a future with no regrets. Discipline requires sacrifice now so you can live with satisfaction later. But if you choose comfort now, you risk waking up one day and realizing that the life you're living is a shadow of what could be. So what does this mean for you? It means you've got to stop negotiating with your purpose. You've got to stop entertaining comfort like it's your friend. Comfort is the thief of greatness. It'll lull you to sleep while your destiny drifts further and further away. You need to move, even if it's scary, even if it's messy, even if you don't feel ready, because ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. And the cost of waiting too long isn't just time, it's regret. And that's one pain you don't want to carry. You were not born to live in a box. You were not designed to settle. You were created to stretch, to grow, to risk, and to run after the thing that sets your soul on fire. And yes, it will hurt sometimes. Yes, it will cost you something. But the cost of comfort is far greater, because comfort steals your future and replaces it with regret. So choose the pain that leads to purpose. Choose the stretch that unlocks your strength. Choose the discipline that leaves you proud. Because when the day comes that you look back on your life, you want to say, I gave it everything I had. Not I stayed safe. Not I waited. Not I thought I had more time. Live now. Stretch now. Start now. Because the price of comfort is regret. And regret is always too expensive. You were not born to live average. You were not created to just survive. You were designed to dominate, to lead, to impact, to rise. but only if you're willing to leave the comfort zone behind. So today, make a decision. Step out. Do the thing that scares you. Say yes to discomfort, because your next level, your next victory, your next miracle is waiting for you outside of the comfort zone. And remember, your comfort zone might feel safe, but your calling is found in the stretch. Let's go.